Hey students, we are on lesson 7-4, subtract fractions with unlike denominators. So if you think back to yesterday, we were adding fractions with unlike denominators, finding a common denominator, and then adding. We're gonna do the same thing today, but instead of adding, we'll be subtracting. Alrighty, here's our learning goal. I can subtract fractions with unlike denominators. You need your workbook. Multiplication chart is really helpful, and your pencil and some scratch paper. Okay, we are on page 281, so please make sure you open up to yourself and share, and let's go ahead and read through it. Rose bought a length of copper wire. She used half yard to repair a water line in her house. How much pipe does she have left? Solve this problem any way you choose. So we have 4/6 of a yard, then she used half of it to repair a water line. How much does she have left? Go ahead and pause here, give it a try. Think about how we found common denominators yesterday, and then we'll go over it. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and set our problem up. You betcha we're setting it up vertically, up and down, not side to side, horizontal. So we have 4/6 of a yard is what she's starting with. We need to take away the half a yard that she used in order to repair a water line in her house. I am impressed. I could not do that. So go Rose. Alrighty, so I need to decide what common denominator the fraction 4/6 and 1/2 has. And so you know Miss Collins' favorite question is, will my smaller number denominator, so 2 is a smaller number, remember fractions, that means it's bigger pieces though, and 6 is my larger number denominator, but those are smaller pieces. Hopefully I'm not confusing you too much, but the more that we talk about it, hopefully the more you get it. So will 2 fit inside 6? Well, I can list my multiples of 2 and find out. 2, 4, 6. Ha! Yes, it will. So 6 is going to be my common denominator. And because I didn't change anything from this denominator to this denominator, it's like I'm multiplying it by 1/1. So 4 times 1 is 4. So I didn't change anything with my numerator or denominator, so I don't change anything with my numerator or denominator. Now over here, I have to multiply 2 by something to get to 6. So 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times, so what I do to the bottom number, denominator, I have to do to the top number, or my numerator. So 1 times 3 is 3. And so 1/2 with a denominator of 6 is 3/6. And that makes sense because 3 is half of 6. So it checks out. All right, but now we have to remember we are subtracting today. We are taking away. She used up this part of it, so I need to subtract. So I subtract my numerator. 4 take away 3 is 1. Now my denominator, when we're subtracting and adding, stays the same after you find that common denominator. So 1/6 yard is what she has left. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our visual learning bridge. Okay, here's our question, essential question today. How can you subtract fractions with unlike denominators? Linda used 1/4 yard of the fabric she bought for a sewing project. How much fabric does she have left? So we can use subtraction to find out how much she has left. They did 2/3 of a yard is how much she bought, and she used 1/4 of a yard, or so I know I'm going to have to take away. So I'm going to work the problem on this slide, and then we'll talk about it on the next slide. So I have 2/3 of a yard that I'm starting with. So go ahead and write that down. And then we're going to write our 1/4 of a yard down below it, and I'm subtracting. So now I need to put find my common denominator. So I asked myself, will my smaller number denominator 3 fit into my larger number denominator 4? No, it won't in this situation. And so then what you have to do is list out the multiples. I would get out your multiplication chart if multiples are something you struggle with, and make sure that you write out your multiples of 3 and your multiples of 4. So if I'm listing out my multiples of 3, I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and then I can start to list my multiples of 4 and see if I have a common multiple, and I'm looking for my least common multiple, so the smallest number they have in common. So this would be 4, 8, 12, boop, 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 boop. So 12 is going to be my common denominator, and it's the least common denominator that we can find. So I put my 12 as my new denominator, and now I need to do a little multiplication in order to create these equivalent fractions. So for this first one, I'm gonna move this. I am going to multiply 3 times what to get 12? Well, I'm gonna multiply by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. Now over here, I need to multiply 4 times what is 12? Well, 3, so 1 times 3 is 3. And now I'm ready to subtract because my denominators are the same. I can do 8, take away 3, that's gonna give me 5. And my denominator, when I add and subtract, stays the same. We can double check at the end, 5/12, if we can reduce it down at all. Well, 5, if I think about the factors of 5, 1 and 5 go into 5. And there isn't another, 5 doesn't go into 12, so I can't reduce it down anymore. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a peek-see at the picture that they found down here, which they did the exact same thing. I just kind of like to work it sometimes without reading it. So they listed their multiples of 3 and they listed their multiples of 4 and they got to 12, just like we did. And so then I like this visual because it shows you one whole and then it shows you your 1/3 and your 1/3. So this is your 2/3 right here. And then how they broke it down into 12. So it's gonna be that's the 8/12 there. Then they did the same thing with the 1/4. They broke it down into 12s, which is the 3/12 that you see right there. And then when they subtracted it or took it away, they got 5/12, just like we did. Okay, let's go over a couple examples. I'm just gonna hop in over here. So for this first one, they already found a common denominator for us. So why don't you guys go ahead and try to solve number 3 and enter your answer below. Okay, let's go ahead and talk through it. So my 4/7, they created an equivalent fraction to 12/21, and my 1/3 was 7/21. So now I need to do 12 take away 7, which you can count back, you can count up, but it's gonna be 5. And then my 21 will stay the same on the bottom. I'm not going to change my denominator here. And so 5 does not go into 21, so I can't reduce it down. There's not another number that goes into 5 besides 1. Okay, I'm gonna actually erase that there. All right, let's talk through number 4. Actually, I'm gonna have you do those two on your own. We'll talk through number 5. So we have 7/8. Let me just rewrite it a little darker. And 1/3. Okay. Beep, beep, beep. So my common denominator, I can ask myself, will 3 go into 8? 3, 6, 9. No, it won't. So here's where I have to, kind of just do the hard work, do the challenging work, but something we can do, and list out our multiples. So my multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32. And then my multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. We had to go all the way to 8 for that. So we're gonna end up multiplying the two denominators. That isn't always the case, which is why I want you to get in the habit of listing out those multiples or using your multiplication chart even, just like tracing your finger down the chart to see. So 24 is gonna be our common denominator. So go ahead and make sure you have this written down. Pause it right here if you need to. Get this written down in your examples, okay? So 8 times what is 24? Well, 8 times 3. So then 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, 3 times what is 24? Well, 8. So 8 times 1 is 8. And now I can subtract. So I can do 21, take away 8, and you can count back. So 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. You can use touch math, you can count up. But we're gonna get a numerator or our top number of 13 and our bottom number. Does it change? No, it does not change, 24. So if I'm thinking about reducing it down at the end, 13, only 1 and 13 go into the number 13 for the factors. 13 does not go into 24 because if I double 13, I'd be at 26. So I can't reduce this down any. They don't have a number, there isn't a number smaller than 13 or smaller that goes into both of them. Okay, I would like you to try number 4. Bless me. Number 4, and put your answer in. You're gonna have to come up with your common denominator. And then I would like you to try number 6 because they came up with that common denominator for you. So go Go ahead and give those two a try, and we'll talk about them in group.